Page 12, the Highlands. 6/4 time, well that's different. Usually it's 4/4 or 3/4. Doesn't matter. It simply means we got to count to 6, but we're still counting quarter notes. So there's the equivalent of 6 quarter notes in every measure. Okay, that's no big deal. 1 flat, so we're in the key of F major. Okay, that's fine. All the B's are going to be flat. Start with the right hand. Let's make sure we have the notes, the fingering, and the rhythm. You're starting out here, put you in this position. Don't forget the B flat. You're here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. And so we have to count to 6. Well, and then you lift up and move down. So it's, again, at the beginning, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, 5. You can use second finger again if you don't want to use thumb on the B flat. I'll leave that up to you. Lift up, and you do that again. Now it's second finger, not third. And this measure is 5/4. Did you see at the beginning of the second line they changed the time signature? They can do that. They have to do the time signature changes at the bar lines, but they can do it anytime, anywhere. So it's 5 beats. We're just counting to 5. But the pulse is the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you have a 2/4. So you're only going to count to 2. But again, the pulse for the quarter notes is the same. So it's 1, 2. And then you go back to your 6/4. Now you do that some more. Let's go down to the last line. You're ending the third line here. You're going to lift up during the rest and come up here. For the last line, back to 6/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now here they're saying second finger again. Because of the slurs, we can go ahead and do this. Otherwise, I don't care for that at all. I would prefer to use the thumb on the C and cross over. To me, that's a safer fingering. Because when I'm figuring out a fingering for something, I like to play it all legato first. And that forces me certain fingerings to use. I didn't say that right, but hopefully you understood it. So in the third line, I tend to want to use a thumb on that last C and then cross over for the third. And as far as I'm concerned, if you want to do that, go for it. And then the next measure, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, I would use a thumb on that last C so my second finger is ready for the next measure because it's a D. So the top of page 13, rest. And I'm going to use the same fingering for this same passage wherever it is. Let's jump down to the bottom, the last line on page 13. You're here. They're saying 1/4. I prefer 2/4 and 1/5. I can connect them. And that's what I'm recommending you do if your hands are big enough. The left hand, starting out down here, you have a dotted half or dotted whole note. Remember the rules for dots? The dot gets half the value of the note. Well, in 6/4 time, quarter note gets a count, so a whole note gets 4. So the dot's going to get 2. That's half of 4. Put them together, you got your 6 counts total. That's good. So there, and then half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Then you're going to hang on to that for 6 counts. Go down to the third line. You got to move up here. Don't forget the B flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then lift up, move. It's kind of awkward, but okay, that's what they said. We'll do that. There's other fingerings that would make it easier, but let's stick with this. Then again, come back up, second finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. The rhythm here, watch out. And then you come down to B flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do fourth finger on the A. The last note on page 12, I do fourth finger because I need a little finger for the next note. So fourth, Over on page 13, second line, last measure. This is a 7/4. But you gotta love it. There's 7 quarter notes in the measure. The pulse remains the same. You just gotta count to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's it. It's not my fault. He did it. He wrote it that way. Put the hands together here at the beginning. It's the rhythm we're after here. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 1. There. That's tricky. Let's look at it. Third line down, going from the first measure to the second. According to the fingering they're suggesting, you're going to end up here. And then you got to go to here. It's not the best idea. If I were really going to do this, and it is a fast piece, you don't have a lot of time for this. And I need a fingering that works a little better because both hands are moving and they're going in opposite direction and they got specific targets they got to hit. That's hard to do. That really is. So it's... Don't recommend it if possible. So what I'm going to do is maybe a slight fingering change. So this is one of the things we go through when we're learning a new piece of music is you'll start out with a fingering that's working. And then when you speed it up to the closer to the speed it needs to go, your fingering doesn't work anymore. And you go through, so you just fix it. You find a fingering that works at the high speed. Well, here, that doesn't work. So what I'm going to suggest you do, if your hand's big enough, use second finger or third finger on the F. Because then I can do it. I can do that real easy. Here, I need thumb on the black key there. Then for the left hand, if I do a thumb here, I can do 5 and 2 here. So it's here. And for me, that's how I would do it. If I'm going to play this quickly, and I want a fingering that works that way. So I would change this fingering to accommodate that. So I don't have to move both hands like that real quick. You're between slurs, you're going to lift up. But you still got to accommodate hitting the right notes. So even if I don't connect them, it's still easier if my fingering, it works for me a little better. So I would suggest you try that out. If you were my student, I'd pencil it in for you. Here. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Last line. 1, 2. That's C. This is the second line on page 13. The last 2 measures, that's C going into the last measure, that's tied. So you just hang on to it. Once you get a handle on the rhythm and the fingering, get that worked out, get your hesitations and glitches worked out, then we think about putting in these slurs. There's no staccatos that I can find, there's slurs. Just lift up between each one. You don't play the last one really short. It's disconnected. On the first line, going from the second measure to the third measure, I'm going to finger this the same way we did the other fingering with a 1, 2, so I don't have to jump up. I don't want to do that. This is a fast piece. So I'm going to finger this. Every time I see it, I'm going to finger it the same way. So the second line, we're here. Here. I want to connect the first two measures together. I'm going to pretend the slur in the second measure, the second slur goes to the next measure. I want to connect it. I want to connect all that together. I don't want to separate it. I disagree with that. I would connect that. All that together, and I recommend that's what you try and do. So in the left hand, that slur at the beginning of the line would go through the first two measures. Connect it all, and then we can go on. And again, at the end of the third line, I would slur onto the last measure. Connect it. I would not separate it. And then the last line, slurs, and this is page 13, second line, last measure, left hand. So it's here. So the last two measures of the second line. So forth. And then at the end, the last line. Again, I'd slur and connect this to the last measure. So it's, I would not separate it. To me, that is unmusical, and I would not recommend it unless it's some sort of a special effect you wanted, but I recommend you connect that. And once you kind of get a grasp of these slurs, because both hands have them and they're different, then we can put in the dynamics. For the most part, it's to the right hand. What is moderately soft to you? And keep the left hand out of the way. Then you're going to go down to soft, or and back up to moderately soft. Back down, you just down away, and then now you're moderately loud. And the right hand. Keep the left hand out of the way. You're coming down to about a moderately soft. Back up to moderately loud. Now when I get a crescendo like this, and this spans three measures, they're at the bottom of page 12, and I'm not going up very much, doesn't matter. I tend to spread it out, where I might do a measure or so and keep it the same. I won't get louder. So the first measure at the bottom, I'll just stay moderately soft at the whole measure. And it might come up just a hair in the next measure for the whole measure. And then a little louder, not much. So at the top of page 13, I'm only up to moderately loud. And that's the loudest I'm going to get for here. And then I come back down to soft. Now I'm soft, and that's the right hand. The left hand has to be very soft. And the second line, I'll go back up to moderately loud or moderately soft in the second measure. Back down to soft. Then the last measure of the second line, I'm going to go up to loud. So it's here as I come down. The right hand can't do anything. You play the note, tough. The left hand has to do it here. So the last two are just the second line here. We're starting this soft. And we get a little louder, moderately soft. And we come down to soft. And we start this soft and go up to loud. And that's the right hand. Don't play this left hand too loud. Staying loud. There's a rallentando there. It means slow down a little bit. And They want you at moderately soft. Speed-wise, this is a fast piece. It's somewhere in there. It's got to be. You get the idea. It's up to you. It has to be accurate, and you need to get to know it well enough that you can forget about having to deal with notes and rhythms and all that. You're just getting into the music. All these different time signatures, don't let them throw you. Just keep that quarter note pulse the same. Regardless of what this time signature is, the pulse stays the same. I'd like to play this with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms and all that. I'm not going to do dynamics. So I'm going to give it 6 counts because we have 6 beats in the first measure. Now let's play it together, one hand at a time if you have to. 1, 2, 3, 4, ready and go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and. Hold, 2, 3, 4, off.